Hi again then guys, and so we've got another special projects replica build for you today. And this time it's for a car which is perhaps familiar to some of you if you've been with this channel for longer, because I kind of did build a tune like this before. But that one was more of a visually inspired replica rather than a pure replica, and that was of course for the N-Spec series, which was PP specific rather than a pure overall replica. And now this car in question is the Mercedes SLR McLaren. This is the 2009 version. You want to make sure you get that version if you're planning to do the replica, because that's the only version of the two which can have modified bodywork, and it's also a premium car, which is nice, fully detailed interior, etc. And the car that we are replicating is the Mercedes SLR McLaren 722 GT race car. And if you're unfamiliar with that car, it's basically Mercedes' equivalent of the Ferrari XX program, where they took the SLR and turned it into a one-make race series for private owners, where they could take on other owners of SLR 722 GTs on various racetracks. It's a very cool car. It's upgraded obviously significantly over the standard SLR, far lighter, more powerful, and a lot quicker around the track. But for some reason it does not get much love on racing games. I'm not aware of any major racing game that has featured the SLR 722 GT, which I find surprising considering how cool and how fast a car it is. But be that as it may, we can make a fairly accurate visual and mechanical representation of the 722 GT on Gran Turismo. So first of all, I'll show you what I've done to get the visual look of the car, then the mechanical setup, and finally take it out to the track for a test drive. So as far as the visual setup of this car, for the body kit you want the Type B kit, which gives you these large side increases in body size around the arches, the chin splitter on the front, etc. This large rear diffuser as well, which incidentally eliminates the need for a flat floor. For the rear wing, you want the custom wing. We've gone for the Type D wing support, which isn't completely accurate to the real car, because the real car has its wing supports very close together above the license plate, but you know, we work with what we've got. For the wing itself, you want the Type E wing, which is actually a split wing layout with a gap between the two like the real car, and you want your Type C winglets on the end. As far as width and height, you want those at the maximum. And also for other, I've gone for the Type A, which gives you carbon fibre wing mirrors. For the rims, you want the standard size because the big ones just look ridiculous. And for the actual rim type, we've gone for these Oz racing rims, which are very accurate to the real ones. They're about as close as you can get to the real car's rims on the game. You've got two colour options really, either the matte or the more metallic / gloss black. I've gone for the matte. As far as the additional meters, obviously you have to go with whatever additional meters you need, but I've gone for fuel gauge, rev counter and oil temp in the same kind of colour as the existing HUD. And as far as the colour of the car, well, you just go for whatever you need really. As you can see, I've changed the colour myself. I had red, then blue, etc. So the SLR is available in a wide variety of colours, so it doesn't really matter what colour you go for. It's available in black, silver, orange, red, blue, etc, etc. So just go for whatever colour you want really. So that's it for the visual setup of the car. So now let's go to the garage for the mechanical side of things. Now, as far as the mechanical specs and the setup, it's not exactly akin to the real SLR 722 GT, because unfortunately the real car weighs 1300 kilos, so even with the full weight loss package we're still 11 kilos heavier than that. But it's still very close, the power's exactly the same, and the PP is actually both realistic and very competitive. So you want racing soft tyres, obviously. For the suspension, we've got the ride height as low as possible. It's still not as low as it should be really, but that's as far as we can go. Incidentally, for the brakes, I've increased the front to 6, reduced the rear to 4. For the springs, we've increased those to 1275 and 1575. Dampers to 4, anti-roll as high as possible on 7. Surprisingly minimal camber on 2 on this one. Neutral toe as usual. For the gearbox, obviously it's not a top speed tune, so I've got an auto setting of 230. And for the individual gears, we've gone for 3530, 2200, 1520, 1120 and 875 with a final drive of 2.9. For the diff, low initial torque to reduce wheel spin off the line, high acceleration and low braking bias. For the power, you want your stage 3 engine tune, primarily to increase the red line, race exhaust for both the look and the sound, and the supercharger, and then we've reduced the power down to 77.9%, which brings us to the exact power of the real GT car. Rear downforce obviously as high as possible. It would have been nice to have front downforce, but again, it's not an option, and you want the full weight loss package. So that's it for the mechanical setup of this replica. Now let's take it out to the track and see how it performs. As far as its overall quality, the look of the car, the performance, the specs, I'm actually very proud of this tune, and the SLR is actually one of the best cars in the game to build a replica vehicle out of, because it is so visually and technically close to the car that we were aiming for. Now obviously if you were to compare it to the actual 722 GT, that car would obviously have an edge. The PP would probably be a bit higher, the revs would be higher, it would weigh obviously 11 kilos less, and it would have significantly more downforce, especially over the front end, and it would be lower. So, you know, it's never going to be perfectly accurate, but this is one of the best cars to do a replica for, mainly because of just how visually close it looks to the real car. There are differences, again, but overall it is a very fun car to drive. I think a great representation of the 722 GT. And again, I do not understand why they don't have the 722 GT in racing games. It's such a cool car, but it's just overlooked for the most part. So for those of you guys who do choose to make this replica build, I'd appreciate feedback on how you find it. Do you find it competitive? Do you find it fun? Do you think it's fairly accurate? Or is there stuff that you would have done differently? But that's it for this build, and I'll see you guys next time. And as always, thanks for watching.